Welcome back to another episode of Matter of Fact. I'm Tommy here with Rob, per usual, and today we're going to talk about the real reason socialism is on the rise. Do you know why?
I got a hunch. I have some ideas. I think it depends who's preaching it and how it's said, but there's a lot of things that people will like about it, and a lot of people brand it to make it sound bad. So I don't know.
Okay. Before we get into it, are these ideas do they, as some might say, are they racist?
I wouldn't say racist. I wouldn't say racist. I don't think the idea of socialism necessarily is racist. I think, could people that are attacking the guy who's really, the star of this all right now, could they be having some racist thoughts? Potentially. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, so let's dive into the video so y'all can get more of an idea of what exactly we're talking about communism in New York City.
Socialism.
Why socialism is on the rise. In the wake of Zohran Mamdani's win in the Democratic primary for mayor of New York, there's been a glut of commentary from people who didn't see it coming, attempting to understand what is happening. Some, like investor and former trigonometry guest Bill Ackman, argue that Mamdani is a uniquely talented retail politician who outworked the competition.
Damn.
In this conception, his policies were not the determining factor. Others, like fellow investor Tyler Winklevoss, believe that it's simply time for young people to be reminded of the realities of socialism. According to this view, indoctrinated at school and university and let down by parents who failed to prepare them for the real world, millennials and Gen Z just won't wake up until they face the reality of Mamdani's insane policies, like government grocery stores and rent freezes.
All right.
Mamdani's insane policies.
So one, who is this Zohran dude? Like, why is everybody scared of him? Alright, they said this is his policies right here. He ran an energetic campaign focused on affordability, promising free buses. Word, I fuck with that. Free buses for niggas in New York. That's what's up. Niggas take the bus and transit for free anyways. Might as well make it free for them niggas. Like, let's be honest, right? But you can charge the tourists. Universal child care. Okay, let's not leave the kids out on the street. That's not bad. A 30 minimum hourly wage
In New York.
in New York. Okay. 30 though.
It's just expensive in New York. People can't live there. I don't know.
That's true,
That's a
but
lot.
30, nigga.
I don't know what it is now. That's a lot.
30's a lot.
It's bread. I'll take it.
But I'm not gonna hate on it though. I'm not gonna be the nigga that's like, no, give these niggas $30. A rent freeze and what does that mean? Rent freeze and city run supermarkets.
Yeah, so a rent freeze, meaning landlords can't raise your rent. And then, city-run supermarkets, because they're saying that there are certain areas in the city where, they don't have access to, healthy food options, like fresh produce and things like that. And, he wants to change that and make it available and affordable.
Word, and all paid for with high taxes on the top. That sounds good to me, personally.
Don't sound bad, right? You're getting all this stuff, and 1%, I've never met any of those people. I'll never meet them in my life.
Bro,
they got mad bread. They have so much money that they couldn't even spend it if they wanted to. I'm okay.
Yeah, bro, like, they can get taxed
for the greater good.
Like 3% more to yeah, that's chill. They gonna write that shit off anyways. Our debt getting increased anyways. You might as well give the broke niggas some shit so they don't revolt. You feel me?
There's that.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad idea. I like this dude.
Government-run grocery
I like this
stores
dude.
and rent freezes. Others still take a dimmer view of the next generation, proclaiming that Mamdani won because of vibes. The centre-left, on the other hand, consoles itself with the notion that he was up against a terrible candidate in Andrew Cuomo. All of these people are right, and all of them are wrong. It's true that Mamdani appears to have the common touch. but many people who do are unable to produce the stunning victory he achieved. It's true that young people do not understand the history of socialism and have little idea of just how terrible the consequences of Mamdani's policies will be. It's true that vibes were a powerful force in this election, but politics has always been about vibes. The elections of Barack Obama and President Trump were about vibes too. And yes, it's true that Cuomo is a terrible candidate who's facing allegations of sexual harassment as well as scrutiny for his disastrous decisions during the pandemic. But that doesn't explain the popularity of Mamdani, only the unpopularity of Andrew Cuomo. The reality is that none of these variables on their own are sufficient to explain the rising popularity of socialism in many Western countries, or, more specifically, many large Western cities. Every comedian has to learn this lesson the hard way. You may have great jokes, but people will only laugh if they agree with the premise of those jokes. The fact that for at least a decade our schools and universities have acted as woke madrasas is sufficient to prime young people for receptivity to socialism. But it does not explain why the ideas are landing as hard as they are. So, why is socialism becoming popular? I tried to remind my conservative friends of this at the end of my speech at the first ARC conference when I said, "Many of you here are conservatives. I'm not. I look terrible in tweed. That's why I identify as politically non-binary. But I can tell you conservatives something. You will never get young people to want to conserve a society and an economy that is not working for them. We will not overcome woke nihilism as long as young people are locked out of the housing market, unable to pair up, unable to have kids, unable to plan for the future."
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's 1,000% right. And that's the reason why people are going this direction with the growing wealth inequality, the death of the American dream, essentially. What do you want people to do? Do they want to keep doing what we're doing? Hell no, because it ain't working for them.
so I guess my question is like, what's the problem with this guy? Who has the problem? Like, I'm not seeing the...
Well, that's because we're regular ass people, Tommy, so we wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
But if you're a wealthy person, then you might have a problem. If you have a lot of money, you don't want your taxes to go up, you're not going to like that. So it's pretty much greed is why you wouldn't like him.
Is the landlords mad?
Yeah, the landlords are mad and shit. So
I'd be mad if I was a landlord.
But they already got their rent hikes like crazy anyway.
They're gonna be like, nigga.
But wages aren't keeping up with the rents. They're just kind of forcing the people out. Like it's crazy.
I mean, I'll just say this: you can't have everybody be happy.
Exactly.
You feel me? You can make a lot more niggas happy and make a few rich niggas temporarily mad until they get used to it or figure out how to get around it. You feel me? But
the thing is those rich people are gonna outspend all the other poor people combined, and they're gonna win out somehow. Like you said, like who would want that? That sounds great. Everybody would agree with that. Yeah, they probably do. Probably, 98 out of 100 people agree with it. But those two people that don't got a lot of fucking money, and at the end of the day, they win.
Elon need to move to New York.
Born in 1982, I am what you might call a geriatric millennial. I entered the workforce in 2003 and worked solidly for over a decade, making a good income as a translator and then as a circuit comedian. Together with my wife's modest income as an artist, we earned a little above the median household income in Britain. We bought our first property, a tiny apartment, at the age of 35.
This nigga from
Far
Britain?
from being unusual, this is becoming normal. In London, the average
Bro,
age of a first-time
I hate
buyer
when
is 35.
English niggas
In
try
New
to
York,
talk
it's
about
now
America.
37. The counter often
They
wheeled
always
out
do.
against
They got
this
that
argument is that
accent,
while
though. I
certain
think American
aspects of life
people,
have become more
we
challenging,
like accents,
young
so.
people now enjoy access to an immense array of consumer goods, electronics, food variety, and so on. But the problem is that some things matter more than others. Housing is one of them. Most people, for example, would not want to have children until they have a place of their own. And as any parent will tell you, having kids changes everything. If you can't afford to buy your own place and settle down, you're stuck in a permanent adolescent limbo in which making the right decisions no longer makes sense. I know many people of my generation and younger who, it could be said, waste lots of money on coffees, eating out, and so on, while paying rent instead of saving up for their own place. The problem is, though, that saving £200 a month towards a deposit on your first property makes very little sense when the price of that property grows by tens of thousands every year. This sense that the things you actually want deep down are speeding away from you on a train you'll never catch is the real driving force behind the popularity of politicians like Mamdani. Young people are open to socialist demagogues not because they've sat down and done the sums on their policies. They're open to them because they're desperate and see no way out. This, by the way, is always how radical and unworkable ideas become popular. The rise of communism and fascism in the late 19th and early 20th centuries was the direct result of the excesses of the Industrial Revolution. During that period, human wealth shot up, but so did wealth inequality, with the people at the top accumulating most of the gains. By the middle of the 19th century, the top 1% of people in Britain owned 50 to 60% of the wealth. Sound familiar? The rise of socialist politicians and the popularity of left-wing commentators like Gary's Economics are not the problem, they are a symptom. And until the real problems are addressed, it's Mamdani's all the way down. If you enjoy these videos, you should know that they're available as articles on my Substack.
I ain't even had nothing to say.
He might say more. I mean, there's a little bit left unless you talk shit for a couple minutes. But, I think he's spot on with everything he said there. You know what I mean? Like, that is like the basic facts about it. But they don't want to accept that and believe it. Why? Because the people that are in power now are the ones that would have to make the sacrifices to do the right thing. And they're not going to do that.
Word. Yeah. I mean, y'all let us know what y'all think. Is socialism on the rise? If it is it a good thing? Or are you a part of all the rich niggas who think it's a bad thing? Yeah. I mean, this nigga might make me move to New York. Hold up. Make me move to New York. Shit, I can't sing. But let us know in the comments. We appreciate if you made it this far. And we'll catch you on the next one. This is Matter of Fact with the modern day hippies. Signing out.